I'm Alex,
And I'm Jay.
and we're doing this together because we like each other a lot.
We do, actually.
And Jay's the reason I joined the class.
This
So
is true. I feel like we're in a really unique position in terms of a relationship and intersecting identities and all that sort of fun stuff. I mean, we met at a Black Lives Matter rally, which is like a fan fiction and it's kind of embarrassing, but
I learned from this class a lot of things I didn't know before about blackness in terms of politics. And I think that's going to help me be a better ally, specifically to Jay in the future. Um, we frequent the same social spaces, and I definitely get treated differently than Jay does. Like in queer friendly spaces, I'm treated differently a lot because I'm white and also because I'm more feminine than Jay is.
I think like it meant a lot to me that Alex was willing to take the class because it made me feel safer. Well, I mean, I already felt safe with her, but it made me feel like safer in terms of like my Black identity that she was willing to like go and learn all those things and actively participate.
One thing in particular in the class I'd never heard before was the whole history involving the like black club women and why where the respectability politics came from. I'd always heard of respectability politics in the sense of like white women's version of sexism, so like slut shaming and things like that, and then also with like police brutality in black people, but I never really thought of it as like a way that early black club women accessed credibility for grassroots organizing. I guess I'm a lot more conscious of like criticizing black women and black people of other genders about respectability politics because I didn't realize that for a long time that's how they gained credibility in their response to racism and sexism intersecting.
Yeah, I thought it was really actually okay. That is one thing that I didn't know. Uh, because I'm not perfect. But yeah, I thought that was like really interesting, and I think it also really makes a lot of sense. Obviously, why people still do things like that. My day to day life as a Black person is like very much informed by that because I remember like being a kid and people are like, "Oh, like you talk like a white person." At the time, I was like, "Yay!" because I had a lot of internalized racism. But like looking back, I'm really embarrassed with myself. That was rough.
That was another thing I wasn't really like super clear on before this class was like how internalized racism affects how black people interact with each other and how they view themselves. Jay and I talk sometimes about how like our relationship is not completely supported in a lot of different areas, not just like how would you put it? Like,
well, I mean, there's kind of a respectability politics in terms of like relationships with like the whole thing about like black men dating white women or black women dating white men and how, a lot of people in the black community hold the opinion that like you shouldn't date white people and also like the fact that we're also queer I think plays a big role in it. We always joke like when we go out and we're walking out or walking in the streets, I think people like stare. We're always like, is it because I'm black and she's white, or is it because they're trying to figure out how gay it is, or is it
like
just because I'm a black person? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it two lesbians? Is it two non-binary people? Is it a mix of the two?
Is it a black man with a white woman?
Yeah.
I think that plays a lot into how we like navigate just day to day life.
And I think it affects how people view our roles in our relationship. Like, I know a lot of people assume that because they're black and also because they present in a more masculine way that Jay is the like dominant personality or the like the man in our relationship, which there is no man in our relationship because neither one of us are men. But yeah.
This is true. It's also just kind of like the stereotype that like black lesbians are like aggressive. Yeah, I think even if I was very feminine, I would still probably be read as like the more like dominant party, the more aggressive one, just on nature of my skin color, which kind of goes back to like black people being perceived as like angry or aggressive just because they're black people.
The majority of queer spaces we engage in together are white spaces. So I definitely like have seen that my voice is a lot more amplified than Jay's voice is when they want to talk about like police brutality and just other general like intercommunity issues. Like Jay said, the view of black lesbians as being like aggressive or more masculine.
So I like do ask her sometimes to like do a lot of emotional labor for me, like in Facebook arguments mostly, but also like just in general, like with talking to like white administration and things for me, which I think is really really important for allyship. it's a really great example of how like white people can amplify black voices instead of like talking over them. That's all I got for that one.
Yeah.
You want to talk about spirituality?
I am Christian and Jay is not. Jay's still very supportive of religion, but I think that the part of the class was based on Black spirituality and how spirituality is like a part of Black culture. I think it's caused me to view my religion in a different way. We learned that it was a center of like social organizing and stuff, and I don't really feel like that's been my experience. I feel like white church and white religion is very restrictive and a lot more of like kind of like achieving a moral standard that is presented to you and like is presented as reasonable for you to fulfill is like looking on it now, I feel like it definitely has some undertones of like because you're Christian and also low key because you're white, you're like a superior person and like you have to do a certain or not do certain things in order to like achieve that standard of respectability and of morality. My faith is still important to me, but I think it's definitely made me like aware of the racial component within church and within spirituality.
Well, I'm atheist or agnostic depending on the weather. Still grew up around black church, or like rather in a black church, because it's like it so permeates black culture, which is also interesting because my mom is very white passing, but her dad is black. So like I like grew up around the church up to a certain point, and then eventually my mom kind of like let us stop going when we like lost interest in it, which we did. And I think it's really interesting how much the church plays a role in black culture because you can't go anywhere in a black community without seeing a church, pastor, a lady catching the Holy Ghost on the street. It's kind of been frustrating for me because I've been like pretty like disconnected from that. It is such a big part of black culture. There's like always like this barrier for me and like being a part of black culture because I am not really spiritual. And like there's never anyone like, oh, like you're atheist, you can't be here, but it's just like kind of I don't know, it's oddly ostracizing. I never had that growing up. Not really.
In the movie for Colored Girls, the person I really felt really like attached and related to was Tangi, and I think that kind of goes back to like respectability politics.
Same, yeah.
Because she doesn't experience or cope with trauma in ways that are like really pretty or like acceptable or understandable. We both are involved in like sexual assault advocacy and things like that. So I think that was just really nice to see that like nobody's directly saying like, oh, like her being sexual or like liking to dance or having this like having the personality she has is bad. It's just the fact that like she's using it to cope unhealthily with abuse from her family members. She was portrayed really sympathetically, and that she's almost kind of like a change within the like Jezebel stereotype.
Yeah. I liked her because like I feel like that could have been me if I hadn't went into the military or if I would have dropped out of school earlier or something like that's why like I really connected with her and I always have because like I understand like that sort of like need to cope in ways that kind of numb and like get you out of your body. So yeah, like I really identify with her. And also, I just love the actress who played her, so that helped.
And there's a lot of like assumptions that somebody who's been sexually abused or assaulted would like naturally shy away from sexual contact, which is like a very common thing, but not necessarily like the only reaction. So then a lot of people are like, oh, somebody who like is very sexually active afterward must be like faking it or like have caused their abuse in some way. So I just thought it was really cool that like it was portrayed as like her trying to access a form of self-love and maybe not the like best way, but yeah.
I identify with that a lot.
That's all we're gonna say. But thank you so much for performing such a great class and doing great lectures and giving us such wonderful readings and stuff like that.
It was fantastic. It was great meeting you, and I hope that you go on and do fantastic things in the scholarly community. We'll see you around.